To know fashion is to know Roy Halston, commonly known as Halston, otherwise known as your favorite fashion designer's favorite fashion designer. Halston is a designer whose name is synonymous with the 1970s. He designed clothes that were glamorous, sensual, comfortable for the everyday woman as well as celebrities. He pioneered and popularized new concepts in fashion, such as the use of ultrasuede, the use of models of color in runway shows, something not typically done in the 70s. He rivaled French couturiers with American demi-couture. He was the first American designer to bring high fashion to mainland China, and he was one of the first luxury designers to explore the concept of a licensing deal with a mid-market corporation.
I mean, there's no magic about fashion. Fashion's made by people, all kinds of different people. But in fact, they have to put their money down, and they have to buy it, and it must work for them. And they have to look terrific in it, or nobody wants to look that way. So that is really always what happens in the fashion world, on every level. Whether it be cosmetics, whether it be clothing, style points in the home, anything. It is always that. I think what influences design most is, the people that you dress. And they tell you pretty much what they want and what they need. And that we dress a rather conservative, business-type public.
Halston is a designer with endless charisma and a unique sense of humor. With friends like Andy Warhol, Liza Minnelli, Pat Cleveland, Karen Bjornson, Halston is widely considered to be the first superstar designer in American fashion history. In the early 1950s, while studying at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, Halston launched a small business designing and crafting women's hats. His work quickly attracted attention from distinguished clientele, which led to him opening a boutique in 1957. He later moved to New York, where he became head milliner at Bergdorf Goodman. Halston's first taste of fame came from his design of the pillbox hat that Jacqueline Kennedy wore to the presidential inauguration in 1961. By the late 60s, Halston began designing women's wear, and he shifted his focus to ready-to-wear that prioritized a refined American glamour. He was a designer that was truly obsessed with textiles, often experimenting and implementing new fabrics into his process. Fabrics such as gossamer, cashmere, chiffon, ultrasuede, silk charmeuse, linen, Kiana, matte jersey. He merged this curiosity for textiles, especially ultrasuede, with his signature Halston design language, often utilizing the bias cut and spiral cut techniques. He changed the silhouette of the modern woman, and this combination gave his clothes a seamless, intimate, body-skimming effect that not only offered the wearer comfort, but also encouraged movement and fluidity. Halston discovered the ultrasuede fabric through ecenomic, sort of by accident. In 1971, at a party in Paris, Halston noticed ecenomic wearing one of his own designs made from ultrasuede. When Halston saw the fabric, he thought it was waterproof, and working under that assumption, he designed a raincoat that turned out to absorb water rather than repel it. This was a happy accident, however. It revealed a fabric that was soft, durable, machine washable, and required no ironing. So Halston ended up reworking the fabric into a shirt dress, something lightweight, fluid, and effortless, embodying everything the Halston brand stood for. You see, for more and more women in the 70s, a slim figure achieved through diet and exercise had become the beauty standard, and many young women were also embracing the new trend of bralessness, and Halston obliged them with a shirt dress. It was cut to complement many figures with buttons that began at the breastbone rather than at the garment's structured neckline, and in one season, 60,000 pieces were sold, and it became a Halston signature. He'd go on to use the fabric in coats, luggage, and other items, and it's safe to say that ultrasuede turned out to be an iconic mistake. From 1968 to 1973, Halston's brand generated around $30 million. As his popularity and fame grew, the people he surrounded himself with also became well known. His favorite personalities included Pat Cleveland, Angelica Houston, Karen Bjornson, Alva Chin, Beverly Johnson, Nancy North, Chris Royer, and Connie Cook. This entourage of models were eventually dubbed the halstonettes by Andre Leontali. The halstonettes appeared together in editorials and ads for Halston clothing and cosmetics, and they appeared at many Halston-related events. The group often traveled with Halston. They attended his galas, acted as his muses, and they reflected ethnic and size diversity, as Halston was a designer that was inspired by real women and real people. This phenomenon of designer and entourage was a very new concept in the 70s. 1980s, and it helped cement a clear visual identity around the brand. His presence with his clients and friends blurred the line between designer, host, and participant. This way of working turned his immediate environment into an extension of the runway. The clothes were seen in popular social gatherings, on familiar faces, and this reinforced a movie star-esque link between Halston and a particular idea of American glamour.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been probably the most challenging and gratifying fashion exercise in
Ordinarily,
my career.
Halston creates clothes that a lot of women like. Few can afford, however, if you'll pardon the expression, that is by design. But now, Halston is coming out with a line of apparel that anybody could afford at prices from $10 to $200. Starting this summer, the clothes will be appearing in 1,700 J.C. department stores all across the country. Halston says his agreement to turn out clothes for Penny will run for about 6 years. And we hear it is a $1 billion deal. That's how you're describing it, isn't it?
Yes, well, it is a $1 billion contract, which is a lot of money and a lot of work and a lot of jobs for a lot of people.
Halston 3 exclusive designs.
Now, this is called Halston 3.
It's called Halston
Why?
3. Well, it's really the third stage of my career. The first being in the millinery business and then in fancy clothes and dressing all the stars and things. And now a larger public dressing America, really.
Do you think this is a risk to your reputation or career?
Oh, I think it can only enhance it. It's a larger public. It's much more interesting. I've always wanted to embrace that American public. And, you know, I believe in them. It's a wonderful thing. It's always what I've wanted to do.
1,700 stores, undoubtedly.
With the best people ever.
The biggest thing I'm sure you've ever done.
Oh, for sure.
Hi, can I help you? Are you interested in buying a Halston dress?
Are these the same clothes that Elizabeth Taylor and the celebrities wear?
And yes, these are some of the same type of clothes.
But don't you see where the shoulders are?
Show.
And look at the back.
Yeah, well, small.
It's called investment dressing.
This one is $55.
It didn't sell. Not only did it not sell, but it was discontinued.
In 1973, with his mind set on growth and expansion, Halston signed a deal with Norton Simon, which gave him huge financial backing, although the deal meant he no longer owned his own name. Then, in 1982, he made a $1 billion deal with J.C. Penney. Now, at the time, J.C. Penney was positioned as a mid-market department store, far from the luxury spaces where his name usually appeared. The agreement involved creating multiple collections a year for men and women, including accessories, all at a scale that was much higher than what he was used to with the Halston mainline. And although the concept of a high fashion designer collaborating with a mass market chain is a concept that we are very much used to today, at the time, a move like this was unusual and it was highly controversial. Halston was an artist and a designer through and through. For him, the most daunting part of his job was the constant pressure to water down his process for the sake of a bottom line.
Okay, how do you justify $1,500 for a dress? I mean, it's a lot for a woman or a man for a jacket.
Is that how much my dress costs?
Yes.
In short, Halston, like many of the greatest designers of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, could care less about the numbers.
Bergdorf Goodman wanted to send a signal to the design community that if you're going to sell a mass retailer, you're not going to be able to sell Bergdorf Goodman. So Bergdorf Goodman tossed the line out.
Didn't you run into some trouble with Bergdorf, who was the first place you had?
Oh, not at all. No, I don't think so. You know, Bergdorf, you know, I wish them well. I started my career at Bergdorf and helped to make Bergdorf famous. But Bergdorf is a rather small account compared to all America.
In an article from the New York Times in 1983, Bergdorf Goodman's then president and CEO Ida Neimark said, quote, "We decided that designers as well as retailers have to decide who their customers are and proceed in that direction. Halston made his decision and we have made ours." When asked for comment, Halston said that he thought there was, quote, "room for everyone in retailing," and he hoped that, quote, "a solution agreeable to all can still be worked out." Mr. Neimark said flatly in response, quote, "That's not possible, it's all over." It's safe to say that the JCPenney deal defied the boundaries of exclusivity that luxury fashion so fiercely protected. According to Don Fries, Halston's vice president of sales, he says it was pure hell after that, and he recalls high fashion brands cutting orders to distance themselves from the Halston label. He said, quote, "Halston realized he'd done the wrong thing." Designers like Halston walked so designers like Tom Ford could run. Many of the things that we associate with Tom Ford's work at Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent in the 90s, like fluid silhouettes, plunging necklines and décolletage, sensual evening wear, and a certain high-gloss sex appeal, all have clear roots in Halston's design language. Halston created a template for an evening look that was both direct and relaxed. You saw skin, and you also saw a lot of the woman's body very clearly underneath the clothing. Halston was a designer who often dressed the body first, literally. He'd use pins to adjust garments on the models in real time, and he'd take them off with all the pins in the exact same way in order to define the shape of the piece. So it's this approach to dressing the body as the main focus which laid the groundwork for the intense, shapely sex appeal that we see from many fashion designers later into the 90s. We can position Halston as a significant yet underrated link in the chain, an American designer who built a language of modern evening wear that designers like Tom Ford later amplified and recontextualized in a more contemporary way.
Halston has just come back from 8 days in China. He presented the first American fashion show to the Chinese, and Halston's with us this morning. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Everyone had their own set of luggage as a gift. He was using the new fabric ultrasuede on everything. We all had an entire wardrobe, and we had a schedule. It said what you wore at what hour. We changed clothes at least 5 times a day.
It was very difficult at the beginning because they wouldn't open up.
Yeah, so we would design something for you. Is it that complicated to change the patterns? Is that possible?
The formalities surprised me a bit. They're very shy, and their culture doesn't permit them to be as open as we are as Americans. All of a sudden, one of the girls stood up, and she walked around, and they started looking at it, and then another one walked up. So I got all the assistants to bring everything in, and they were like children with new toys. It was just bedlam. It was an absolute breakthrough.
I consider it a great compliment that she wanted to put it on.
He changed how countries like India and China approach fashion, not just in their countries, but also in their communications with the American customer. So as the 80s progressed, with broader economic shifts, mergers, and the rise of conglomerates, the pace and expectations placed on fashion brands increased. Halston struggled to balance a brilliant creative mind with corporate interest during the economic boom of the time. His company went through a series of sales and changes in ownership, but once he sold his business, his name became a corporate asset controlled by the new owners. New management structures were put into place, new designers were brought into the company, and Halston was eventually ousted from the business that held his name. As a creative at this time, corporate dealings could be very abrasive because the people in the boardrooms often spoke a totally different language to artists. And as Halston lost control of his company, it was evident that the difficulties of this corporate creative relationship were a significant catalyst for his decline. Halston died of cancer relating to AIDS complications in 1990 at the age of 57. As a designer who had a somewhat chaotic relationship with fashion, I can't help but imagine what he would feel about the industry today. I mean, he was clearly a designer who was ahead of his time, a designer whose impacts changed fashion in a way that we still see today. So would he feel a sense of vindication towards his business decisions and desires? Was he ultimately proven right? What do you guys think? And if you're someone who is a fan of the iconic designer that is Halston, please let me know some of your favorite moments from the Halston legacy. And if you're someone who's just discovering Halston for the first time, let me know what parts of the Halston story compel you the most. And I'm also curious to know what elements of the Halston design language and visual identity that you see present in fashion today that you enjoy. Apart from that, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. All the best.